So today we'll be discussing one of the ways to ensure business growth, which by the way is simply an increase in our company size, revenue, market share over time. So it's business growth generally means the business success over time. And one of the ways we can achieve this is increase in sales. And we all know that a major component of our business is our customers. It's also known that a successful business thrives, on its customers base, and happy and satisfied customers are more likely to remain loyal and refer others, which is a means of word of mouth marketing. So today we'll be looking at how we can retain our customers through leveraging emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a skill that we can actually develop and strengthen over time because it helps us to understand our customers better, respond to their emotions effectively, and build rapport with customers by genuinely connecting with them on an emotional level. So in today's session, we'll try to be brief because we've already spent 28 minutes trying to wait for others to join in. We'll be discussing some of the ways we can connect with our customers, how we can leverage emotional intelligence to drive business growth. And our facilitator for today is a renowned legal and corporate consultant. She's a Harvard-trained business professional with over a decade experience in business and management consulting. By name, Barrister Faith Umar. She has her wealth of experience spans across the oil and gas, private and public sector. If she's online, yes, she is. So over to you, Barrister Faith.
All right, so the slide is up. And thank you. I want to use this opportunity to thank the management of NIFERST for having me. It's a privilege. I've been asked or given the task of speaking on the subject leveraging emotional intelligence in customer service for business growth. I want to believe that each and every one of us here have one time or another experience a level of bad service or bad customer service delivery from a particular brand or particular business that we know or we usually patronize. It's almost a norm to find ourselves having very, very bad customer experiences from the brands we have around. And most times when you have a little bit of good customer experience from a particular brand, you feel overelated because it's something you don't get so much or every time, but actually it's meant to be the norm. Unfortunately, most of our local brands are not fully aware of what customer experience should be, or how to render such customer experience to their clientele, to their customer base and all. So I'm happy we have an opportunity like this to share with us how we can actually leverage on emotional intelligence and everything that has to do with the customer service, customer experience. Okay, so let's start with what is emotional intelligence. If we were to have a proper understanding of what emotional intelligence is, this is just a 3-point definition that captures the entirety of emotional intelligence. And one is what we call managing your emotions smartly. So one could consider emotional intelligence as being able to, as a person now, manage your emotions in a smart manner. Being able to know how to relate or interrelate with persons that you come across with on a daily basis, and not allow the emotions around you determine the outcome of the things that happens around you. So on a personal note, it's more of managing how you feel or how you react when you feel a certain way. On a personal note. Also, the second definition here says understanding the emotions of others and managing the outcome of same. So it doesn't stop at your person. Emotional intelligence doesn't just stop at your person as an individual. It extends to third parties or extends to other parties that are involved. So how do you manage the emotions of the people you meet with on a daily basis? How do you manage the reactions or the actions, or rather the outcomes that come out from this interpersonal relationships you have with people? And then the third is handling interpersonal relationship empathetically. The active word, underlining word there is empathetically, having empathy, showing genuine concern with things that happen to humans or people around you. So being able to capture all of this and relate it or connect it vis-a-vis the subject we have today, it's more or less like the business owner, the customer, being able to manage emotions, not just at the customer end, but also as a business owner, being able to manage your emotions. So even before we get into that, it's good to also understand that as much as having spouses, like a husband and a wife, that emotional intelligence comes to play. Your colleagues in the office, that emotional intelligence comes to play with the way you interact with them. The social gatherings you go to, it goes as far as that. It's a quality that every individual should be able to possess, not just because you are a business owner or not because you are on the customer side of it, but it's something that everybody should be able to have such quality in them. So moving forward, when we talk about emotional intelligence, you cannot take it away from the fact, or yes, you cannot actually take it away from the fact of the whole essence of customer service, what we call customer experience. So when you talk about a customer experience, you talk about the experience a customer gets from a business owner by interacting with that business owner, either interacting with their products or interacting with their services. How does this customer feel? Do they feel satisfied? Do they feel annoyed? Do they feel unsatisfied? That feeling, that expression that is passed to the customer is entirely what we know as the customer experience. And it starts from the point of decision of the customer to go to your brand, up to the point where the customer interacts with you or your business and then gets whatever service or product it is. So it's a process, all right? That experience is not just a one moment thing, it's a process. That experience starts from when the customer says, okay, I want to purchase this, I want to purchase this service or this product, down to the point where they actually purchase. In between, you find out that there are lots of experiences that could happen, and like I say, that customer experience cannot be separated from emotional intelligence, because every experience a customer actually feels, all right, it sums up to their emotions. Whatever the customer reacts, or however rather the customer reacts, is based on the emotions that they've already accumulated in them based on their interaction with your product or service. So interchangeably, we'll be using this words customer experience, emotional intelligence, because they actually play together. You can actually separate one from the other. The entire customer experience of a particular customer is centered around their emotional intelligence. So going forward, we want to leverage on new market trends. So in as much as we are going to be discussing about emotional intelligence around customer service in our businesses, we can't actually come off the reality of the trends we are in now. We can't come off the reality of where we are now. And where are we now? We are in a point where there's this kind of disruption that has happened in the market as against the traditional market, where the market is shifting more into the online space. The market is experiencing a more technologically inclusive model, where virtually every business owner has some form of technology, infused into their processes, infused into their operations. And also, to as little as a petty trader these days, somehow, or no matter how little a business is for any business owner, somehow they have an online footprint or an online presence to a certain degree. So there is a change from the traditional pattern of the market trends as compared to what we have now. Why am I coming up with this? This has in a way disrupted the traditional way of we always have a walk-in customer where you have a one-on-one or a client-facing kind of approach that the business owner actually physically meets the customer. So because of all of those new trends, it's becoming trickier, it's becoming more dicey, and also it's beginning to require certain skills to be able to ensure that in your processes, despite the technology that is being infused in your processes, you are still able to take care of or tackle issues around emotional intelligence when it comes to dealing with your customers. But in the business world, especially when it has to do with businesses reaching out to their customers, to their clients, we have two structures in which we call the business to business approach, and we have the business to consumer approach. I'm highlighting all of these things so that you give us a broader understanding, of where we are going to as we proceed. So for business to business, as the slide shows, it simply, in a nutshell and a very layman understanding, means one business owner doing business with another business owner. So for instance, my business or my company is doing business with another company, NIFES. So that's business to business, all right? And then a second example for that of B2C is, let's say somebody into hairdressing or tailoring, okay? Maybe you have a salon, all right? And then you actually have customers that come to you for you to service them. So you're doing business directly with the consumer, or as a petty trader, you're selling directly to who comes into your shop to buy, is what we can say is B2C. But if we observe, it's not as it used to be anymore.
Yeah, how are you?
If we observe, it's not as it used to be anymore, because we have a situation where even those little businesses are now incorporating technology into their businesses that keeps them a bit further apart from reaching their customers. So there is a challenge or a gap on how do we even identify the emotions of our customers to be able to even know what to address in the first place. So for the B2B, it's more technologically induced experiences that the customers have, because it's a bigger structure that works around the whole customer service thing. But for B2C, in some cases, we can say, okay, we still have working customers that we can see their body language, see their expressions, and know how to tackle this problem. But in all, because of the present situation or the present dispensation we are in, that technology has put us in, we find out that the task is becoming taskier. It's becoming more of an uphill drive to be able to actually identify pain points of those customers and fix them. This next slide actually shows us a practical example of what a B2C is in the modern day. So before now, I could want to place an order for a particular thing, and I could just walk up to the supermarket, go in there and buy what I want to buy. So this shows a process that happens where a consumer makes an order for a particular product, and a lot of things happen in between when he makes the order and when he receives the delivery of that product. So lots of elements in the value chain, or rather in that distribution chain, happens. Of course, technology is involved in the whole process and all that, and then till the point where it is delivered. And this is still B2C, mind you, unlike before. And it's possible that this customer is in the same city where this company or this particular shop is resident in. But for the sake of technology, why come out of my house when I could just order a meal from Chowdeck and they will bring it and deliver it to me? So this is disruption that is happening. As business owners in 21st century or in the present time, you now begin to have to consider, how do I now ensure that the technologies that I'm incorporating, that of course is making your job or your business more productive, but how am I sure that these technologies we're incorporating will not keep me further apart, from getting feedback from my customer, further apart from understanding exactly how my customer feels about my product and all that. All right. So it could be a blessing, it could be a curse if it's not properly managed. That I mean the advent of the use of technology and all of that. We have things like, so let me be practical. We have things like emails taking the places of certain one-on-one meets. We have things like the WhatsApp platforms taking the place of that usual one-on-one meet that would have happened. All right. We have things like ticketing, AI responses, chat bots, are the ones talking to you. And in most cases, if we are really, really honest with ourselves, we'll find out that we would rather we want to talk with a human being, like somebody directly, face to face. I really want to talk to somebody. I don't need the chatbots talking to me and all that. So, but this is the reality we are faced with. How do we now leverage all of these things to ensure that, oh, okay, yes, we have technology. Yes, I also have customers that are real human beings that have feelings, that have reactions to how my brand relates with them. How do I ensure I do not lose touch with these customers and ensure I give them the best value that I can actually give them? So these are the things as business owners one must be able to consider. So the main question then boils down to how then do we ensure the effective use of emotional intelligence in a very technologically driven market. All right, we can't do away with these technologies. We can't do away with AI. We can't do away with all of these things. But then, if we must use them, how do we ensure that our customers are still carried along? How they feel about our brands are still carried along? Their feedbacks are still carried along. All right. So some ways, online ways and offline ways that we can manage emotional intelligence of our customers, or the whole entire customer experience feel, have been listed in this slide. And but basically, whatever it is that the business owner has as his standards, it should be intentional about incorporating emotional intelligence strategies in its processes. So I'll give you a practical example. So what one of the days it was last month, my children, okay, 2 months ago, my twin children, my twin kids, it was their birthday, and we had, before the birthday, which is usual practice here, we go to a studio for a photo shoot, and we had that session, and I let the management know that we would need those pictures the following day, which was their birthday. And the management said, okay, the best they could do was get out the pictures. It was a very known photography outlet in our city of residence. And they said, okay, 12 noon the following day, they will be able to bring out those pictures and send them across to me. And I said, okay, that was fine. The intention was, of course, to upload some of their pictures, and celebrate them and all that. The following day was their birthday. It was 12 o'clock. I didn't receive any call. I didn't receive anything. I didn't see anything. I said, okay, perhaps they were still working on the pictures. An hour had passed. It was 1 p.m. I had not seen anything. And I called them to ask them what was happening. And the person that picked up the call, of course, apologized and said, oh, madam, your pictures will be ready very soon. We'll send them immediately. So I waited another hour. Another hour was very soon. And I called again. So immediately I called, it was still the apology thing, but then I dropped. When I dropped, the first thing that popped in was a picture. But in that picture, it was the single, it's a boy and a girl I have as a twin. So it was the single of my son that had come in. So I thought to myself, why send in a single? I told you it's the birthday of twins. If for anything, I should be receiving the first set of pictures that should come should be the picture that has both of them in it. For the next 30 minutes after that, they kept on sending single pictures of either of them, the girl, the boy, the girl, the boy. And I took up the phone, I called. And of course, I was furious at this point because it was already around past 2 there, about the day was almost all gone. And what the person answered, or what the person responded was, "Ma, but you did not tell us that we should send you the twins picture first." And at that point, I cut the call because it was going with worthless, still speaking with the person. Obviously, whoever was manning that customer care wasn't smart enough emotionally to know that first, she didn't even identify. I was pretty upset. not upset with the fact that they were even sending it late at this point, but upset with the fact that there was no common sense to know that if it's a twin baby, the first set of pictures that should come since you were already late was that of the twins in the picture itself. So she couldn't manage the situation and all that. And of course, I made up my mind that, except of course the Lord changed my heart. I made up my mind that I would not go back there until something is done with their customer service department and all that. In fact, she was even at a point sounding rude, like I didn't have to be calling and calling at that point. So why am I bringing this up? I'll play out some certain scenarios, and then as I treat each of these strategies that we should adopt in managing emotional intelligence, I'll try to marry them with them. I also had the second situation where, of course, every one of us can pinpoint one or two scenarios where you had bad customer experience. So I went into the bank for a transaction, and while talking to one of the customer service department, customer relationship officer, whatever it is I came for, I noticed there was a bit of an activity on my right hand. What happened? The bank officer or the customer relationship officer attending to the next person by me was beginning to sound furious and angry, and she kept on shouting, "But I've shown you this how many times? I've shown you this how many times? You keep feeling the wrong thing. You keep feeling the wrong thing. I can't do it for you again. Help yourself." And so at that point, I understood what was happening there. The customer relationship officer had a problem with patience, tolerance, and all that. On a normal day, she should have no business sitting on that chair. It is common sense for you to know that it is very possible that this person is uneducated and would have, of course, would need that patience, and for you to actually take his hand and walk him through the form filling process and not rain curses and shouts and all of those on him. Of course, the guy was just quiet. He felt embarrassed. He couldn't go anywhere because he actually had to do what he came to do. So he just remained on the seat. So these are different scenarios that have played out that you can pick the issue of emotional intelligence and see how you fix it. So when we're in a place where, or you run a business where you do mostly emailing to your customers, you do mostly WhatsApp messaging to your customers, that's mostly your medium of interaction, or phone calls and all that. You must be able to not just you, the business owner, train yourself and train other of your staffs that are utilizing this particular medium in reaching out to your customers. Intentionally train them or infuse the act of emotional intelligence in all of this process. In fact, document this process so they become a standard, so that wherever you're not there, these things are done. So they must know how to send emails, what kind of emails to respond to at certain inquiries. There are emails you respond to for inquiries. There's a certain kind of body language you respond to, so to not just inquiries, but complaints. When you have emails or complaints from customers, there's a certain way your responses, the body of the email should go as well too, because it's actually human beings that are receiving these emails. All right. Yes, we know we have some AI responses. In fact, we see some responses they will tell you do not reply. It simply means that it's not an interactive email. Okay, they just want to drop what they want to drop. Okay, and leave you there. But even at that, the bodies of those, because actually you, the business owner, the IT guys that actually create the content or the body of those emails. So while doing that, there should be the sense of we are dealing with humans, all right? And whatever responses it is that is being sent out there, those emails should carry that kind of response as well too. So it's not just about automating all your processes and having emails to send to every inquiry, having the kind of emails to send to. No, as much as it is automated, there should always be reviews, there should always be checks to ensure that the right body language in your email is sent for the right purpose of email that comes in to your organization. So I had another situation where as a lawyer, I carry out some debt recovery processes for some clients. So this particular client had some debt they had to recover from their international counterparts, and it was being difficult because they couldn't find a way through it. So they brought me into the situation, and I had to partner with some credit collectors collectors I work with in international space. I have to partner with them because they are the ones that will now do the collecting at that particular geographical location. So these people have they have a format in which they operate for the areas in Europe, Asia, Africa, America. They have their price or their commission rates for all of this, and that's the credit collectors now. And it's a standard. So they send me a mail that, oh yes, they're going to help me recover the credit, or rather recover this debt from my client's debtors, but that this were their standard rates. It was a normal official email they had sent. It was something I know they had sent to hundreds of their clients because they're actually a well-known brand on international space, you know. And when they sent that email to me, they had, for Europe, they had a certain percentage, for Asia, they had a certain percentage, for Africa had a certain percentage of commission to be taken at the recovery of this. But then I told myself, in as much as these are standard emails I know we send to everybody, I'm still going to be dealing with human beings that will read this mail. And so I sat down and I couched out an email and gave them reasons why I think that those rates, though they were standard, those rates had to be reviewed downwards for us. And of course, we did made some appealing, gave them some appealing cases why I felt they should do that. And then I got a response from one of their overall managers who responded the email and said they have never done what they're about to do for me, for any other client anywhere in the world, but he doesn't know, just somehow the way that mail came, the way he saw the mail and read the mail, he had no choice but to ensure that this review was done. And indeed, the rates were reviewed for all of the regions. Why am I saying this? The body language, every email comes with a body language. I can receive an email and I know this email has no interest to have, or rather does not have my interest at heart. It just wants to sell its product and everything. There are emails that could be couched and you can smell an interest from the business owner or smell your interest in the heart of the business owner. So as much as emails, it's enough to tackle subjects around emotional intelligence. All right. And so you're WhatsApping as well too. For those that are doing little businesses, you have somebody has ordered for a wig or has ordered for something, you know, that you sell and all that. It's not just about bombing the person's WhatsApp with all of the catalogs and all of. There are ways you could actually type your message content or your WhatsApp content to sell not just value but interest in the customer's interest in the customer, you know, to that particular customer. It's not about just selling, it's about building a relationship with that customer. So where you have things like phone calls and a customer has called in furious about a particular bad service delivery or one thing or the other, at that point, you know, it's a point where whoever is manning the phone on the business side should be sensitive enough to know that that's not the point your voice should be raised as well. So the customer's voice is raised, your voice is also raised. That's so unprofessional. At that point is the point where you listen. And in your listening, you understand and you're able to get the pain of the customer. At least just put yourself in their shoes. You understand? To understand where that customer is coming from. I'm talking about when we're talking about phone conversations. And there is a way a customer can be speaking on the phone. You can be able to detect from the tone of the voice if the customer is upset, if the customer is satisfied, or the customer is happy. So it also takes a lot of skill and expertise for one to be able to know most of these things. That is why it is important that the right people are manned to be able to ensure that they detect these things. These things are like red flags, or you know, they are things that are like flags, you know, that you spot and then you're able to address. At the point where you're not even able to address, because of course there are some customers or clients that could really be very upset, they don't want to listen to anybody, you could escalate and take it up to your line manager so that they can be able to tackle that particular situation. So these are all of these come under effective communication system in handling emotional intelligence. So yes, we have emails, we have chatbots, we have all of those other things we use that are channels to which we use to reach our clients, even when we cannot meet them one-on-one to actually see the angry face or the smiley face or the bitter face. We can still incorporate that sense of being emotionally intelligent in all of these processes as well too. So other ways in which, or other techniques in which we can handle emotional intelligence is what we call it's the turnaround time. So how long does it take for you to be able to fix a situation once it's brought up by a particular client? So if I'm into the business of selling shoes and the customer makes an order of a particular shoe and he sends it, and I eventually send it to the customer, and the customer actually sees that, oh, the size I actually sent to you, or the size I actually requested is not the size that was sent to me. How do I tackle that situation in such a fast or quick moment that it will be resolved? So it's something that is very important when you are actually carrying out a business. It's something we call the first response time. So once I send in maybe a WhatsApp message to you that I think I got the wrong delivery of the size of the shoe I ordered, how long did it take you to actually respond to that first complaint? Did it take you 24 hours, 30 minutes? Did it have to take you like 3 days before you actually responded to that client? It's very key, because how quick you respond to the customer will show the customer that you are actually interested in him or her. And that goes a long way to being smart in managing the emotions of that customer. So if you have to take a whole lot of time, maybe something more than 24 hours to respond to that customer, mind you, that customer must have bought that shoe for a particular event that must have been, he or she must have wanted to use it for. But where there is no timely first response, it could be a problem. So let's say, okay, that is on a separate note, we now have what we call average resolution time. You've gotten that first response. Let's say you're even timely in giving the first response. But then what is the average time in which you use to ensure that the right one or the right size of shoe is gotten and then be sent back to the customer? Very important, because if it has to take you, the business owner, another 1 week to be able to send the right size of shoe to the customer, then there's a problem. Of course, at that point, emotions are beginning to wear up, and the customer, of course, will not be happy. The customer will be sad. There might not be a repeat buy from that particular customer. So these are things you want to manage, all right? The first response time, the average resolution time. We have to make sure that, look, for any complaint, it must be solved in 24 hours, or it must be solved in 48 hours, depending on the kind of complaint that actually comes in from the customer. So these are things that should be looked at in all of our processes, whether as a small business owner or a large business owner. These are things that should be looked at to be able to manage reactions and outcomes from our customers or our client base. And then also where you find out that this thing is not being resolved at the standard average time, you know, that is in the company policy or that is placed there by your standards, you escalate and let the management or whoever, the line manager or the executives, know about it, so that they can now know how to come in and ensure that at least within a reasonable time, that particular issue is solved. In fact, for the fact that you escalate issues to the management and the customer is aware of this, it has a way of curbing or cushioning, you know, that upsetting feeling, because they begin to feel that, oh, something is actually being done to fix the situation, than having tardy responses given to the customer or not even making an attempt to ensure that it is being resolved on time. Another thing you want to, which I've also talked on a bit, is managing the right officers as your frontline officers. So as a business owner, most times you have staffers, and these staffers are the ones that interact with your end users, with your customers, with your clients, as the case may be. Those offices are very sensitive offices that should not just be given to anybody. So it should be trained staff, skilled staff that are good in communication, that are good in interpersonal relationship skills, all right? People that have a good high tolerance level, all right, that are really patient. Those are the kind of individuals that should be manned in sensitive positions such as the customer service position or as your frontline officers. Those officers that are actually client facing, those officers that deal with the walk-in clients, those are the kind of officers you should keep. I had a funny experience about a few weeks back. I entered a restaurant, and the person attending to the people, she wasn't even talking to me, it was another customer she was attending to. And the person said her face was all, stiff, and she wasn't smiling at all. And the customer said, "Why are you not smiling? Smile now, you're scaring us." And her response was, "If I just be smiling like that, don't you think I'm mad?" I mean, I don't see why such person should be attending to customers. Yes, because she has no understanding, no clue of what it is to have a very less intense atmosphere where your customers are. So who you man, or also like the person that received the call, or that received the call concerning my children's photograph and all that. When you do not man the right people in your customer service department that do not have as little knowledge as emotional intelligence and knowing how to tolerate and work or communicate with customers, you are presenting your brand in a very bad light. Why? Because first impressions cannot easily be changed. While you are having a fantastic impression about your business and the services you do, you feel, okay, you want to do everything right to make sure that your customers are well served. You forget you have somebody in the front line that is actually doing the exact opposite of what you intend to do. So that becomes a problem. So it is important that as much as a manager of a business is important, the people you put in the front line, down to the door openers of the security man from your gate, the people that open the door to your restaurant or to your business outlets, the doormen, every of those individuals are as important as whoever the manager or the management of that company is, because those are the first people or the first contacts that your customers meet. All right, that's why I said it's also very important you utilize this in your emailing system, because in most cases the first contact of any customer to a particular business is the emails they receive from them. All right, the email, because of maybe of the distance, or of course the use of technology and all that. So we must ensure that the right people are placed in your front line, not just front desk officers now. The frontline officers, it spans across a lot of it's not just the front desk, so you can talk, I say your doorman, your security person, your business development officers that go out there to source for jobs for you, all of them. The people that are in your customer service center, all right, all of them should have excellent skills in managing people, excellent skills in terms of communication, excellent skills in tolerance level, in patience, and all of those. So these are the things that we must be able to inculcate in our business processes to ensure that the issues around emotional intelligence are being taken care of. So when we talk about a customer having a kind of experience, I would like every business owner to always put themselves in the shoes of this customer. So when we talk about customer journey mapping, it simply means the experience a customer has from the point where he leaves his house or makes that decision to the point where he gets to your product. So it's important every business owner actually does this by impersonating their customers, all right, and actually walking them out to actually experience everything they experience till they get to your product, and even after the use of your product or your service. Why is this? At that point, you now have first-hand knowledge of the pain points of your customer, and then you actually know what exactly to fix. So if I need to get a coffee and I wake up in the morning and I want to go to a coffee shop, all right, and I don't have a coffee maker at home, of course I take my bath and I walk out, I have to take my transport to so place, to the particular location of your cafe or your coffee shop, and I get to the door, the doorman opens the door, there is a long queue, all right, and I have to wait in that queue, and for my calculation I have to wait like up to 20 to 30 minutes before it gets to my turn to get a coffee. And when I get to that point, the payment process also delays a bit. Okay, these are pain points that you should begin to look into to tell yourself, okay, we could do this better. All right, we could have more branches all over the city to prevent people coming from far to have to come get coffee. Okay, when they get to the coffee shop, the doorman opens. Can we do something about these queues? Can we have 2 or 3 more staffers lined up to reduce the queue, to increase attendance, so that I don't have that feel of I have to wait for a long time. At the point at which I'm making my payments, can we have more POS machines, to make payments easier, and all of those? Okay, so all of these things are pain points you are now beginning to realize in the journey of your customer to the point of your product. If you do not do this, you will only be assuming things in the value you're adding to your market. But with going through the customer journey of your customer, putting yourself in their shoes, gives you first-hand knowledge, and then makes you make very informed management decisions in your business. It's no longer guesswork. And by the time you do this, you'll find out that the feedback you're going to get from your customers will be on a positive note, because it's almost like, oh, it's like the management went into my head and they knew what I was complaining about and they have fixed it. It's as simple as that. You only just took that journey with them, understood their pains, and then fixed it. And also, feedbacks are also good as well, too. Getting feedbacks from your customers to understand their pains as well, because some customers actually will not even express, they're not as expressive as others. Some can come into the shop and start shouting and all of those, but others might just come, do their thing, buy their thing, take notes, and tell themselves they will not come back here, and they leave. But sometimes things that require steps that require customers to give feedback, maybe feedback forms, emails that gives customers the ability to send in their responses or feedbacks on service delivered to them, can actually elicit most of these things, these worries, and give you, the business owner, the opportunity to fix them. So this is why it's very important for business owners to carry on this journey of their customers. No matter the kind of business you are into, it is possible for a business owner to walk the mile. Of course, you might not be the one doing it personally. I remember so many years back, the MD of one of the biggest fast food outlets in our state of residence, contacted me and asked that I do what we call mystery shopping for him in his 24 outlets in the States. So I and my team set out on that mystery shopping. So basically what mystery shopping is we go in to tend to the customers as usual, and then observe how we are treated from the point of entering the particular outlet or branch up to the point where we buy what we're buying, and we're made to buy and sit and eat, all right? Do everything a customer will do before you leave. And long story short, we had all manner of experiences, trust me. We had all manner of experiences that when we went with our situation report to the MD, he was heartbroken at some point, but of course, with the report of some other outlet, he was like a consolation. But it helped him and his entire management team make a very informed decision that eventually helped that particular brand become an outstanding brand in the nation today. So this thing of taking that extra effort to walk the mile, or actually to walk in the shoes of your customer, all right, not just in your head, sometimes physically do things that they do to give you first-hand knowledge of their pains, will help any business owner or any business person run their business smartly, intelligently, and ensuring that they incorporate emotional intelligence in their process. So in summary, what I would like to say is, no matter the level of technology, no matter the level of disruption that technology has brought in the standard or traditional practices of any business person, we must be intentional in ensuring that we still incorporate strategies that would take into cognizance emotional intelligence. So we should always also remember that our consumers, our customers, our clients are still people with feelings. They're not robots, all right? They're not AI, whatever. They are actually real humans with real feelings that need real service, good service delivery to them. And when you have this understanding, when you have this consciousness, and then you impute them in your processes, I think that's the smartest way of handling emotional intelligence in our daily work. So that's the end of our presentation for today. I don't know if we have any questions so that we could tackle them as we proceed. Dr. Amaka, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. Dr. Amaka, please.
Thank you so much, Barrister Faith, for this insightful teaching. Okay, so we can drop our questions in the chat box. Let's check if we already have some questions. Okay. We can ask questions, please. The floor is open. Questions, contributions. Thank you very
Hello.
much, Barrister Faith.
Can you hear
Hello.
me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Barrister Faith, we want to say a very big thank you for this presentation. It's a very good one, especially now at this time in the country where everyone is venturing into one business or the other in order to meet up with the economic hardship. So we are very grateful for this lecture. But I want to ask, does this presentation also, does it come down to business people that are doing buying and selling daily, business traders, and that our own customers are not very educated or enlightened? Does it, can we also apply some of these skills and techniques you've taught us about the customer relations and all? Can we also apply it to our local businesses? Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chimbo, right? Faithful, if I'm correct. Can you hear me?
Yes, Chimbo.
Okay, of course, as long as you deal with human beings, all right, in your business, it's not animals you're dealing with. Definitely, the issue around emotional intelligence, customer experience is important. So let me give a practical example. Back in the days when I come from a very humble beginning, and we used to, back then, if you're a resident of Port Harcourt, you'll be familiar with Under Flyover Park, where they sell the second used clothes or even third used, as the case may be. Virtually everything there is on, we call it Africa. All right. So if you are very familiar with that place, you will notice that whenever you are passing, especially as a lady, once you are down at the feet of the bridge and then you are entering under that bridge, there are some very annoying young men that are selling things, clothes, whatever it is. Now, we always want to know, pull your hand, drag you. Of course, we know they are not educated. And I'm talking from the place of the business owner. I'm not even talking from the side of the customer, but I'll get to that. Very annoying thing. They call you, and then maybe when you pull your hand off, they're going to raise abuses on you and all that. And common sense. And you expect that if I want to buy a gin tomorrow, okay, I will still have to come to you that have insulted me yesterday when I passed to buy from you. So it's not rocket science. It's just common sense. The way we deal with human beings on a daily basis. So you are now selling tomato in the market, okay? And a customer comes to buy tomato, and you're all frowning your face. I know, yes, life is hard. I know Nigeria has put us in a situation where everybody just tends to be angry these days. Like every little thing, this person will collect. Everybody is just upset about something or the other. It's natural, but we cannot all be upset all the time, especially as a business owner. So I want to buy tomatoes from you. The woman is frustrated with all the whole walhalla she's having at home. Even there, we had neighbors in the market there and all that. But you are there for business. You're there to make a living. You're there because you know that human beings will come and buy these tomatoes from me to eat or to use to cook food to eat. And I have to be at my best behavior to enable them. Mind you, remember, you have competitions that are just next to you, left and right. If you don't treat them well, then you simply move. So it boils down to, as much as selling credit, even the POS guys that help you do transfer and all that, the way you react or the way you relate with me on the first day I come to use your POS for any transaction will determine if I will come back again. So it boils down to everybody. Both the largest, I don't think emotional intelligence or customer relations is for the exclusive reserve of companies, big companies. No, it boils down to any person that is in business. As long as you're dealing with humans that have emotions, humans that can react to certain things, then you must be smart enough to know that I must be able to do things that will make this customer want to come back. That will make this customer have a repeat business. There are times when we have customers that honestly can be annoying, can be unreasonable. It still boils down to you being smart enough to know how to manage these customers, because at the end of the day, it's what's in their pocket you need. Even if, of course, we want to add value to them, if the funds or these purchases or this being patronized is not happening, then you'll be out of business soon. So I think it boils down to knowing exactly why you are in business. If you're in business to make people want to respect you all the time and greet you all the time, then I don't think you're ready for business. So when you know you're in business, you know you're going to take a whole lot, not because you want to, but because you want to remain in business, because you want to serve people. Okay, so you should be able to know how to manage everybody, whether they are educated or they are not. In fact, when they are not educated, you need more of that skill, you need more of that understanding, you need more of that intelligence to know that, oh, because this person is not educated, this is why I have to be more tolerant, I have to explain better, I have to bring down myself to their level to ensure that if you explain better for them, calm them down and ensure that trade still happens. I don't know if I've been able to answer you, Chingo.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been able to be enlightened on that. Thank you once more.
All right. Dr. Maka, any other question?
Yes, actually, we have some questions in the chat box. So I'm going to read the first one.
All right.
How can you sustain good customer satisfaction in the midst of rising cost of goods and services, when sometimes the services are not available and you are expected to provide them as part of customer service?
Please take that again, slowly, please.
Okay. How can you sustain good customer satisfaction in the midst of rising cost of goods and services, when sometimes the services are not available and you're expected to provide them as part of customer service?
Okay. I think this question has an A and a B part. All right. Let's start with the A part, where you have mentioned that of course, the inflation and the high cost rise of things, we need to still be able to offer good customer service. So the question is, I don't know, is it that you're saying the customers cannot buy your products or your services because the prices have increased, or that the prices have increased and so it's difficult for me to render customer service? Because honestly speaking, I don't see the correlation. The customer that is also coming to buy and knows, no, I'm still on it. The customer that is always also coming to buy, do you understand, also is suffering that inflation as well. So it's not happening to some set of people and happening to some set of people. So it's simple. Have that understanding that everybody is suffering this economic hardship. And of course, that doesn't mean you're going to operate as a loss as a business person. Because if you went to the market yesterday, you bought something for 2 naira. You went to the market today, you bought something for 5 naira. You will definitely put a markup to be able to cover that cost and make a profit. Now, on the side of the customer that came yesterday saw it's 2 naira, is now coming today and is seeing it's 7 naira. Might be angry, yes, but understands that it is the economic situation. Now, it is the duty of you, the business owner, to kindly, it's not like they don't know, but educate them and let them know that, or let them know that this is the situation of things. If it were in your shoes, it would not happen that way. But definitely you bought this at so price. I've seen so many business owners do that. I bought it at this price. I went there yesterday. You almost see the customer say it's true, Shazna. So it happened to me too. So I think that's where interpersonal relationship skills come. That being able to communicate to them in a very understanding and relatable manner. Not if you know one buy, leave now. After all, I go here. It has to do with on a personal note now, it has to do with being able to also understand the pain of the customer, even if you know you're going through that same pain. But let's presume or you presume that the customer's pain is even more than yours. Oh, I understand you, my customer. All right. I understand where you're coming from. I know you bought it, yes. But as I went to the market, this is what happened. I had to buy it higher than this. And you know, if I sell up for that 2,000, I will be operating at loss. Tomorrow, if you come here, you won't see me because they'll say I've closed shop. Before you know, both of you are laughing. Before you know it, I understand Nigeria, bring and this is Nigeria. So a market service has been delivered, product has been sold, customer is not angry with you, customer is still happy, satisfied, even if they were uncomfortable that they had to bring out more money to buy. So it just boils down to knowing how to actually manage the situation. And then when you now have a situation where, because the things are too expensive, you can't actually purchase them to be able to bring it to your customer. It's a different ballgame entirely. It's a painful one. It's an experience that is actually happening, all right? It's an experience that's actually happening because sometimes you go to some shops, there's certain things that you used to buy there. You go there and they'll tell you, it's in two costs. No, if you buy, who go buy? I've heard, I've heard business owners, mention or say things like that. They can no longer afford those services or those products that they used to, that you usually come to patronize, because these things, in situations like this, of course, it's not your fault. Of course, you would have to let them understand that it's a momentary thing. Okay, this product will definitely eventually come, or you'll be able to get them. But for now, you're trying to ensure that the ones that are available are the ones that are being sold. And if you've had a good relationship with that customer before that time, trust me, once you bounce back, you'll definitely return. You understand? Because it's actually not your fault that you cannot afford those things anymore because of the high cost of things. But then at that point, keep maintaining relationship with them. Don't lose touch with them. All right, keep that relationship with them. I don't know if I've been able to answer that. Dr. McAfee.
Hello. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Barrister Faith. We have one more question in the chat box. And so this question, this person is asking, it says, sometimes, no matter the emotional intelligence you apply, some customers and clients can be very difficult, uncooperative, and disrespectful. How do you handle such clients?
All right. So in our practice, there's something we say. We always say to every general rule, there is an exception. Trust me. To every general rule of customer service or experience or emotional intelligence, there could be an exception. All right. Because we've had situations where some customers can be so unreasonable, so furious, sometimes even physical. Right. At that point, because there's something every business owner should know. In as much as your customers, they say, are king, in as much as they say your customers, all that they say, customers are always right. That's an incomplete statement. Actually, the initial person that made that statement made a full statement. All right. So customers are not always right. So it's an assignment I'm giving to every one of us. Go and check the full statement. Actually, a half-cut statement. So customers should not always be right, but that's by the way anyway. So when you have situations as a business owner, in as much as you want your customers to feel good, to feel satisfied, you want to pass value and whatever it is to them, you want to make them repeat customers. Also remember that your staffers, the people that work with you or for you, are also your assets. I've seen situations where a business owner, in the name of keeping a very unreasonable, unrealistic, annoying, very egocentric customer, all right, lose a very good asset that is a staff. So you must be able to weigh things as a business owner when dealing around situations that has to do with hostile customers. There are some customers that will be hostile. I've seen situations where a parent comes into a school, I witnessed this, and the parent is slapping a teacher, for goodness sake. No matter the circumstance, that parent should be penalized, or that parent or the child should be penalized for that, because there are more rational and reasonable ways of handling situations. Why am I saying all this? It is not in every situation, a 100% situation, that the customer will always be pleased and all that. Once you are able to sense that the situation presented before you is clear, you have done your part. The customer has failed to understand this. The customer is becoming irrational. The customer is becoming physical. I would rather lose that one customer than lose the asset of my staff that I know that I've done their job and they've done it well. Because I've seen so many schools, like that school I was talking about, that I witnessed that for the sake of fearing to lose school fees from that child, did never penalize that particular teacher. But you will find out that that particular teacher and parents, or that particular teacher that was slapped, would have lost confidence in the school management, and to also affect the productivity of that teacher in class as well, because it was an open thing that was. So I would rather, it depends on the business owner, which do you want to lose? Do you want to lose the respect, the love, the whatever, the productivity of your staffers and everything over a client that can dump you tomorrow and move on with his life with another competition and all that? So it depends. You just have to use wisdom in all of this to marry you, but there is always an exception. Not every customer or client must be pleased, especially when it's a very glaring situation that they will be doing more harm to your business than good. I don't know if I've been able to tackle that.
Yes, thank you very much, Barrister Faith. Okay, we have one more question. Okay, Prof Akai is saying, Barrister Faith, well done.
Thank you, Daddy.
He's a proud father. Our erudite VC. Okay, so we have one more question from Orubibi. Okay, so this question is a bit off, but let's see. What will be the performance indicators to decide that the business is no longer thriving and there is need to change direction or strategies to prevent huge loss on return on investments made?
Okay, please take it again one more time.
What will be the performance indicators
all right,
to decide that the business is no longer thriving and there is a need to change direction or strategies to prevent huge loss on return on investments made?
Okay, so I don't know if this person is asking the question from the point of being the investor in the business or the business owner. So, but let me see how best I can answer it, because it sounds more like an investor, asking this question for a business that maybe they have invested in and all that. However, generally, when the performance indicators to show that your business is running down is in the numbers. By the time you see that your numbers are dropping, then it's a red flag. All right, you're not making profits, you're not making deficits. Okay, your statements or your accounts are not balancing. Then there's a problem. Another thing could also be when you're beginning to have very negative feedbacks from your client base or from your customer base. Okay, these are pointers to show that performance it's not happening, and that's where you now go back to the drawing board as a business owner to actually find out what the problem is or where the problem is and see how it can be tackled. Now, I've also seen situations where business owners pivot. I'll explain. So I start a hair business and I put so much money in this business to buy hair. Of course, when I say hair, the women understand, mean wigs and or extensions, hair extensions and all of those. And at the end of the day, I find out that I'm not making the profit. In fact, my capital has even gone. I'm not making the profit because everybody's just taking credit anyhow. The business is not going as I thought it would. That could make me have a rethink. It's now not about knowing what the problem is. It's just, to me, I feel, okay, this is not my line. All right. Maybe I want to dive into selling of provisions that has to do with daily needs of people. And then I pivot and change. So it could come to a point in a business owner's life, and like you have to come to reality that this line of business you're not wired for it, you're not cut out for it, you don't know how to do it, or it's not something that is for you. And then you pivot. You can actually pivot and change your investment into another line of business and try it. Okay. But so these are different things that you can do as a business owner to ensure that at the end of the day you do not operate at a loss and you don't lose your business completely. Hello,
Thank
Maka.
you very much. Yes, Mr. Ruby, she has been able to answer your question to a large extent. Okay,
My pleasure.
so
My pleasure.
thank you so much. All right, our time is fast spent, but to buttress what Barrister Faith has said so far, it still boils down to the fact that our customers are actually the backbone of our businesses, and great customer service and experience actually improves customer satisfaction and loyalty, which in turn leads to higher sales, increase in revenue, improved brand reputation, and overall business growth. There's actually proven evidence that companies can increase their revenue 5 to 10% by improving their customer experience strategy. And organizations should recognize the value of emotional intelligence in building positive relationships with customers, because by understanding and responding to your customers' emotions effectively, we can actually enhance their loyalty and retention, and possibly gain referrals from them. So to emphasize again, is basically to leverage emotional intelligence for business success is to build strong relationships, have empathy. Empathy is actually a component of emotional intelligence. It's kindness, just putting yourself in the other person's shoes, and then be open to positive criticisms. So when you get feedback that you're not too good with, take the points, just note the points, and be open to change. And then, so we can actually build on our emotional intelligence by understanding the emotions of others. And this we can do by actively listening and observing. So if you're a good listener, just put your ears down, really, literally, to understand what the other person is saying, watching their body emotion, their body language, so that you can understand what they're trying to communicate effectively, and try to proffer a solution. And she mentioned also that if you do not have tolerance, if you have very low emotional intelligence, you have no business, absolutely no business being at the front desk, having one-on-one interactions with customers, because no matter how difficult a customer is, there's always a way around it. And even the Bible, says a soft answer turneth away wrath. So no matter how angry someone is, a gentle and calm response can actually calm them down. Our time is fast spent. This webinar was supposed to be for maximum 90 minutes. And we have another session coming up tomorrow, again at 6 p.m. We have another seasoned business and management consultant on board, and we'd like for you to join us again 6 p.m. tomorrow. And on behalf of NIFEST, sorry, if does anyone have any other thing to say before we wrap this up?
Okay, yeah, so this is Ubina. For myself, I want to sincerely appreciate Barrister Faith. I'm just wondering, the barrister being so inclined and sophisticated in business management. The discussion is practical, and it's an eye-opening session. I want to sincerely appreciate her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Prof is clapping. Well received, sir. Any other comments, please?
Yeah, the
Okay.
comment is well done. I've learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Any other comments, contributions? Okay. This off so that we can go back to work. I know it's still a work day. And we hope to have this session again tomorrow, by God's grace, 6 p.m. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Dr. Amaka, for
Thank you
having
very
me.
much. Thank you, Amaka. Dr. Amaka.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Bye. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Great.
Bye, everyone.
Same here.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Prof.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye. See you tomorrow.
Okay, sir.